Also, okay. Oh, we're live. Hi, Jen.
Hi, Claudia-Sam. It's so good to see you.
Oh my gosh, so good to see you too. Hey, you're listening to the Be Happy Now show, and I'm so excited for you to meet my beautiful friend, Jenn Adamson. Jen and I have met we're Mastermind sisters,
Mhm.
and I can see Jen's genuine resiliency and the way that she shows up for her clients in a consistent way to honor the bigger service of why she's here as an executive level mindset coach. She helps her clients manifest more. And she's a #1 international best-selling author. She's also a registered nurse, and she will be a featured speaker at Tedx Huntington Beach this month. I'm really happy because Jenn shows up as her empowered self every time in our mastermind group. And I can see her honoring the wholeness of who she is in feeling it all, being with it all, holding her clients as empowered beings as she holds herself. And so she's one of the best people to help you access your flow so that you can live this abundant and innovative and joyful life without the hustle. So welcome to the Be Happy Now show, Jenn.
Oh my goodness, Claudia-Sam. Thank you. Oh, I'm fully receiving everything. I know. Big hug across all the oceans right now.
Across all the
Thank
oceans. Yes, I
you.
love that. I
Wow.
really do.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Today,
I
for those of you just tuning in, what Jenn and I get to talk about is, are we doing the right thing? Am I doing the right thing? Because often we get to make these tough decisions, and we're each going to share a little bit about tough decisions that we've made. And if you're listening and you want to put in the chat, in the comments on YouTube, where you're at with tough decisions, what you've made as tough decisions, we'd love to read and be here for you as we have this conversation. And so that we collaborated in creating this beautiful gift for you so that you can feel empowered to make decisions from the heart, from your intuition. So we have created an ebook for you that includes 6 steps for you to make empowered decisions using your intuition. So if you want to know about that, the link will be in the comments in the description. It is claudiasamsoulcoaching.com/decisions. And we will give you more details on that later. So here we are.
We are here. So happy to be here. And can I just interject real quick and say, first of all, thank you so much for those sweet words, those kind and authentic words. I know they're genuine. And I just want to reflect back what I see. May I do that? Is that okay?
Yes, please. Thank you.
I would love to just reflect back what I see in you, Claudia-Sam, and the way that you show up in our mastermind. In the 8 months that I've gotten to know you and connect with you, the words that come to mind for me are authentic, and real and powerful. And I see you showing up really loyal to everything it is that you teach. You embody yourself. And I think that's one of the, if not the biggest decision we get to make as coaches and leaders and guides. And you truly are that woman, that powerhouse, that's beautiful, radiant soul that really shows up in all of you. And it's inspiring and it's beautiful, and I'm going to not cry, but I might cry because it really inspires me so much and reinvigorates and almost breathes new life into me when I'm feeling myself going through something that's difficult or challenging. And getting to hear how you and getting to see how you show up in our mastermind is absolutely, it's been a big cornerstone in my life these last 8 months. So thank you.
Well,
Clients
Gosh,
are incredibly lucky. Yeah.
thank you for those beautiful words. And I just was able to receive them fully. So thank you. And yeah, what a gift that we get to grow in these containers, and just us together were, I think, a beautiful example of what it can look like for you who's listening, to know how you can be seen and heard in a group with coaches like Jenn and I, who are there to help you through your transformation, through to being the wholeness of who you are. And sometimes even investing in ourselves and being coached is a tough decision, because then I see it often where my clients are on the verge of, well, do I hold myself fully worthy of getting what I want? And it can feel scary that all the responsibility of your success is actually your own. And so, yeah, let's get into those tough
Yeah.
decisions, shall we?
Let's do it. Dive right in.
I feel like for me, I mean, there's so many levels, and I know there's a beautiful story that you get to share with us. And what comes to me when I hear tough decisions, or I think of moving to New Zealand,
Mhm.
from Canada, and leaving my family and my friends. And I say these words, and I know it's not really true. I'm not really leaving them, but physically it is that. And physically, and then yet I don't really want to believe that I'm leaving them, because we are connected in all these other layers. As much as it is who feels grief and sad, just like when I left corporate job, being full time at the circus events company I was working at, even though I loved my job. I was actually in New Zealand when I made that decision. I remember walking back and forth in my bedroom about to call my boss to choose me, to choose to stay on this adventure, even though I didn't know what was next. I didn't have the money in the bank account like I knew I would at the end of the paycheck at that job. So that to me is, yeah, a tough decision.
Yeah. Huge. You broke out a little bit, but I think I got the gist of what you were saying and the primary core message. And it is tough. And I would love to like just have this open conversation, because I too have gone through a similar experience where I left corporate and I was running up the ladder real fast. I was hitting all the major milestones in corporate. And from the outside looking in, it looked like I had everything I wanted. I thought that's everything that I wanted. I thought that if I reached this certain level of outwardly success, that I would be fulfilled and satisfied. And I remember having a similar discussion with my director and my supervisor, who I was ready to tell him, I'm leaving my position and I'm going to become a nanny for a while before I decide to make some big life move, which ended up being going to India. And I remember thinking, I'm crazy. I'm crazy. This is crazy. That was just the one thing that kept going out, playing over and over and over again in my mind. But every time that I would really stop and check in with myself, and I want to use this analogy of like the best way I can describe it is like you take the ocean, and on the surface there's all these waves, and the waves are just determined by the circumstances of the weather, right? Sometimes maybe it's calm and placid, other days it's really choppy, other days there's massive storms and hurricanes, and the surface is always changing. And I like to look at that as like our circumstances. But if we can let ourselves be the anchor, or allow ourselves to be like that anchor, or that maybe this large boulder that allows ourselves to go to the bottom of the ocean, miles and miles down, it's calm, it's quiet, it's still, it's dark, in a sense, the way a lot of like that feminine energy, that light, the sun and the moon. And then every time I would feel like I was going crazy, I would stop and really, really work on centering myself. And it felt like the bottom of the ocean. I was like, no, this is the answer. And I don't have all the answers as to how this is going to work out. And I don't know what is in store for me. I have an idea, and I know that this is the right thing to do, because I couldn't go another day. Like, I was so burnt out in my life, and I was suicidal, that it was like, that was life gently, not gently. It was actually, after a while, tapping me and saying, there's some decisions that need to be made, love.
Wow, I just got chills, and it makes me think that even a tough decision when you were going through this depression and well, dark thoughts, maybe even getting out of bed must have seemed at that time, from the mindset that you were in and the energy that you were in, like probably getting out of bed was a tough decision because it seemed like a drag.
Yeah,
Right?
it was like, it was over 12 years ago. So I do remember, yes, I remember there were many nights I wasn't sleeping. And so even just the sheer exhaustion, physical exhaustion that my body was enduring, it was hard to get up. And there was also this mindset of go, go, go at all costs. It was, my dad, God bless him, he grew up, he went to West Point, he was in the army. So it was this very like, go, 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 you must continue on at all odds, at all costs, and push, even if you're literally up against a wall right now. Find a way. And really the pathway was just to move and just pivot a little bit and move so that I could find my path again. So it was the feeling or the thought that comes to mind when I was going through that was like, just soldier on, just soldier on. And I see that so often with a lot of high achieving women. I know you work with a lot of women who are high achievers as well. And I see that so often. It's like, we can't pivot. We can't regroup. We can't take any time to catch our breath. We must keep going at all costs. And that is a really depleting energy. And that's where it led me.
Thank you for sharing. Yes, it is a depleting energy of thinking we need to keep going at that pace. And I just had this vision of like being on the verge of making a decision, like when you're not sure if it's the right thing, or you think it might be the wrong thing to do, and then you get in your head, right? Of like, well, I'm gonna go. I once asked a client, well, what has you overthink at night in bed before you go to sleep? And she said, well, I want to explore all the potential outcomes and scenarios so that I can be prepared.
Yeah. Yeah. I get it, because I've been there before. and I have also learned that I love that. I love that you brought that up. My perspective on that is, it's always good to be prepared. It's always good to consider all angles, but there can be a threshold or a fine line of feeling and being prepared and obsession and spinning our wheels. And something that was told to me is that there's nothing spiritual about spinning our wheels. And they tell that to my clients a lot. I get there. Believe me, I'm saying this from personal experience. I was just currently doing that yesterday and noticing myself going into the thought loop over and over and over again. And I realized my body was constricting, my heart was racing, my chest feels like it's caving in. I get really fast. I'm not able to be in the present moment. I'm not able to be in the present moment with my loved ones. I'm not able to enjoy when I'm in those moments, when I'm in that state. And those are the cues that show me that, oh, I'm not in alignment right now. I must have had a thought that was not in alignment to my soul self, my highest self, and my core values. And so now I get to follow those little breadcrumbs that I left to ask myself, what was the thought or the story that I just had that led me to believe that this right now is the truth, because it's so evident that it is not a supportive thought.
I love that. Thank you, Jen. You're listening to the Be Happy Now show. This is your soul connection coach, Claudia-Sam, and with my guest, Jenn Adamson, who is a high executive leader, mindset coach, and a #1 bestselling author. And today we're talking about, am I doing the right thing? And what Jenn just described as one way to tune into, hey, where's this voice coming from? Like, this is one of the steps that is in our collaborative ebook that we created for you. That's 6 steps to help you make empowered decisions from your intuition, which you can go download for free by going to claudiasamsoulcoaching.com/decisions. I will put the link in the show notes. And that brings me to ask you, Jenn, to tell us about this beautiful story that you have been in, and that had you tune into your power of tough decisions from an intuitive place.
Yeah. So I'll share what happened. So it was 2020, and I was the head nurse in a unit at the hospital that I worked at the time. It was a night shift. I was working night shift. And there was an employee that I loved so dearly and appreciated so dearly. And this employee of mine could have been easily described as someone who was quirky. And I'm quirky. I love quirkiness. And he just had a dry sense of humor. He always got a chuckle out of me. And we really grew a very close working relationship over the 2 years that we knew each other. Should I go into it? Do you want me to just go right into it? Yeah.
Go right into it.
Okay. So I had been noticing a shift with him. And that was the first time that in these interactions and in this relationship, this working relationship that I had with, his name is Tom, and that's actually been changed too. I feel like I need to say that name has been changed. It's not his real name, but this is the person I'll be speaking about in this upcoming TED Talk. And I was noticing a shift, and I, in hindsight, now know that was my intuition talking to me, that was that intuitive sense that already something was up. Sometimes, though, just knowing and bringing awareness to it is enough, because sometimes we don't always get the solution or need to have the solution right away when we're starting to feel that gut instinct. And that's something I like to teach my clients, because oftentimes we need to receive a little bit more data, experience a little bit more, or I like to look at it as like walking down our path, and then it becomes clear. Then there's more clarity. But already I was noticing and feeling that shift with him. And over a span of a few weeks, it was coming to a moment where I had to address some of his concerns with his performance. And very minor. I'm pretty laid back and low key. So it was more of like, hey, I'm noticing some things with you. And it was like night and day, Claudia-Sam. He completely shifted and did a 180 and started to, just in this really dark moment of truth, go on to this dark inner monologue that he was expressing to me outwardly of the things that he wished would happen to certain people. And he alluded to thoughts of harming his girlfriend's 6-year-old daughter, in fact, killing. And at that point in time, of course, I was like, holy shit. I hope I can say that. Holy shit. What the hell? Is he really serious right now? And then something happened. There was an emergency on the unit, so we had to run. But I was like, I got to hold on to that. I'm not ignoring that right now. I just need to figure out what my game plan is, because I just got a huge thing dropped onto me. And I need to know, I need to figure out how I'm going to navigate through this, and to really intensify the situation, because your mind goes into, did he really say that? And maybe you didn't say that. Maybe I'm taking the context out right now. So then there's that going back to your head of weighing out and being like, okay, did he really say that? Did he really mean it this way? So the thing that really validated were two things, actually. The first thing is I told one of the nurses that I respect, like, and trust. And she said, how did it make you feel? And I was like, absolutely not good. It made me feel icky. She says, you need to listen to that. The second thing is shortly after we had to break away because of the emergency on the unit, I was working at a computer figuring out my next steps. And he came back up to me and said, it's not like I always think about snuffing the life out of her. So that was the final, like as if I didn't need any more validation then, but that was like, oh, okay, we're moving forward and taking action. We're doing this now, not like there's no more of me trying to figure out I need to go now. And this was all in a span of maybe 30 minutes. And so I went and immediately told the hospital supervisor, who was the person in charge of the entire hospital at the time. I also told my manager, which was interesting because he had a totally different response than my hospital supervisor. He kind of looked at it as like, he's just blowing off steam. He is quirky. He is having a tough time at home. Don't worry. It's just Tom. That didn't sit right with me. And I was like, even if I don't have any support backed, I'm going to continue to keep arcing up until I need to, because the thought of a little girl's life potentially ending, it just made me sick, and there was no way. So it did end up being that I was fully supported, and we quickly took very quick, swift, decisive action. And the hospital supervisor and I, after notifying our director, so even another higher up, this was all at like midnight too, by the way, we escorted Tom down the main hallway of the hospital into the emergency room for a psychiatric evaluation. And he did say, he's like, I will never forgive you for this. And there was some retaliation. I was fearful. I was fearful that he could retaliate, and he did. And even though it's been 3 years, I still am careful. I'm still careful. Do I regret any of the decisions that I made? Absolutely not. There's no way, because our decisions, not only do they impact our lives, but they impact the lives of others. The one thing, not to change it from the intensity of that story to another story, but there are common threads and similarities, is one thing I often hear women who come to me to ask about coaching is I just want to be a good role model for my kids. I want to be able to teach them what I haven't learned growing up. And that's so huge. Every time I hear that, it makes me just light up, because that was a big reason why I chose the path that I chose as a coach and as a nurse, is because I valued personal growth and development. I value it so much that I want to allow my daughter to live life at the beginning of her very beginning of her life, and have her be set on a good foot, because her mommy is a well-resourced woman. And that in and of itself is what makes it worth it to me. Of course, I get so many other benefits too, but that's what I get to see with my clients as well, is all of the ripple effects of how we choose to make aligned decisions, and how it impacts our loved ones and our communities in a lot of big ways.
Hey, Jen, I can see the ripple effects. I'm curious about Kelly.
About who's that? Kelly? Do you mean the daughter?
Huh?
Oh, okay. Yes. Okay. All right. Got it. I think you used a different name because you heard my talk before. So it was a different name. So I was thrown off. That's why. Because I'm not going to give the whole talk away, because it'll show there's some surprise and some element of surprise in there at the end. But yeah, she's someone I think about a lot. She's absolutely someone I think about. I think about her mom a lot too. And I think about, and I hope, right? I'm just always wonder, you know, what if I didn't? I mean, that never would have been, I really can say with 100% confidence that that wouldn't have been the case, but I do sometimes think like, what if those words would have been shared with someone else? Or what if I didn't feel empowered enough? What if I wasn't in a place to feel like I was equipped to handle that level of information? Yeah, I think about her a lot actually. And I just imagine that that's the beauty of making empowered decisions, is that there's a level of mystery, and we get to revel in that mystery of, there's so much that we can't see with the human eye yet, oftentimes, but is happening underneath the surface. And it's like, well, it's just like when we plant something, right? When we plant a garden, there's so many different stages. But if we continue to keep choosing to water the garden and nurture the garden, we will see those flowers bloom. It's inevitable. We will see them bloom. We might make mistakes. We might kill a few plants as we're learning to get a green thumb, right? We might have some setbacks, but it's inevitable that that garden will bloom, that garden will be the garden. And that is the mystery of making empowered decisions in my world, in my perspective. And it's just, yeah, we just don't know, right? We just really don't know.
Gosh, thank you, Jenn. I'm really glad that we are diving into this conversation, because just by talking it out and sharing our experience, this is also contributing to the ripple effect of, by standing in our empowered beings, by practicing what it is to make an intuitive decision, even when you don't know. A Course in Miracles says something like, when you are holding in your mind thoughts that you share with God. Now, A Course in Miracles says that love created you as itself and that you are a miracle, therefore you are love. It's also saying that the God energy is also love, and the unknown is what the human sees as uncertainty, and the listening to the intuition can be a powerful way to feel connected to the divine and to the force that is bigger than us and the one that is all knowing. So if we can learn to trust that this intuitive muscle and voice is actually coming from a knowing that is bigger than what our human can conceive, then we can start to trust and lean back and be held by it. And the mystery becomes alive, and it's a game, and we get to play it, and you and I play it every day.
Yes, yes. Oh, you put that so beautifully, Claudia-Sam. Everything you just said really, really summarizes what I feel in my heart. I feel like sometimes it's a struggle for me to verbalize and express what is in my heart so often. And the way that you said that was just spot on. It's that ability to always choose love again. And I mean, love in the divine sense, in the highest self, and the highest sense, and in the highest self, actually. And when we choose that energy, it's always the right answer. It's always the right answer. It just is.
I love that. It's always the right answer. So the topic of this podcast was, am I doing the right thing? And so to help you, as we love you and we're together having this conversation to help you, beautiful Be Happy Now show listener. So in the show notes, you will find the link to download your free ebook on 6 ways to listen to your intuition for empowered decision making. So Jenn and I are coming together and we're sharing these 6 ways how to use the workbook. There's coaching questions in there. It's a really beautiful tool that we're gifting you. So Claudia-Sam soulcoaching.com/decisions and go grab it. And Jenn, why don't you tell us about where we can tune into your TED Talk and or any other share that you would like to close us off with?
Yes. So you can reach me. You can find the TED Talk. The best way would be to reach out to me on Instagram, because I was just notified the other day that, so the TED Talk is on September 23rd, and it will be about 6 to 8 weeks before the actual video is posted online on the TED website as well as YouTube. So reach out to me over Instagram, because I'll be making announcements. Also, if you want to, you can, I would say reach out to me, send me a DM. And if you also want to be a part of the email list, I'll definitely be announcing it to my email audience when it's out and ready to be viewed. And a final word would be, you said something about our intuition being a gift from the divine source, God. I use all those words interchangeably. And I want to just add on to that and say, yes, 100%. It is a gift. We all have an intuition. We all have our intuition. It is not broken. It is not defunct. It just might be sleeping a little bit. And we get to then play in the energy of letting it rise up to the surface again, to be a trusted advisor in our journeys through life. Yeah. And then when you can do that, you will always know the clarity is coming. It may not happen right away, but over time, sometimes it happens right away, but sometimes it doesn't. And if you can just release that timeline and let your intuition be a trusted advisor through your journey, you will open up doorways to so much magic, profound satisfaction, and transformation. And I believe in you.
Oh, we get to take out the celebration sticks to that.
Love
Yes.
those sticks.
Thank you, dear friend. Thank you for sharing your energy with the Be Happy Now Show community. Thank you for sharing your wisdom, telling us about Tom and how you showed up. And I'm so excited to continue participating and witnessing those ripple effects of how you and I show up, how our intuition shows up, and how our communities show up. So thank you so, so much.
Thank you, Claudia-Sam. It's always, always, always a pleasure to be in your energy. And this was such a fun and really, joyful conversation that I'm really grateful that we got to have. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Bye for now.
Bye.